Well, hello there and welcome to the bathroom of the dollhouse, where all the deep pontificating gets done, for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers for February 18th, the day of the complete picture. That's right. And here at the top of the page is a visual representational image of the day of the complete picture. We have us what appears to be, I'm guessing it's a palm tree rising up out of a nut, or perhaps a palmetto. I don't know. I'm more of the South Carolina state tree type there, the palmetto tree, if you like, on account of it reflected the cannonballs back during the Civil War, I believe. In any event, does that speak to the day of the complete picture? I don't know. Who's to say? Something rising up from its birth state. Perhaps, I don't know, but visual representational image aside, I just kind of like folks to see what I have on the page in front of me so you can kind of be part of the paradigm that's going on off screen. Doesn't hold much relevance otherwise in most cases. That said, what is important around here is it's February 18th, so if today is your birthday, I just want to say happy birthday. That's what's important. But if this video finds you late, as sometimes it does, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may happen to be, well, I just want to say I hope you had a happy birthday, if that's the circumstance. But for everybody else who's joining us randomly, or more ideally to celebrate the February 18th birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts for a few minutes, and that's roll some dice. That's right. Now, why do I like to roll dice? Well, this is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake, but I do so more importantly for synchronicity's sake. And here I rolled us a 3 and a 4 for a 7. Now, what is synchronicity, you're probably wondering? Well, a lot of times, my friends, as I hear it told, the universe will put things in our path to help us manifest our goals or realize our aspirations. But a lot of the times we get out in the world, just commuting to the job or running some errands, we're very narrow or laser focused. We often have the blinders up to the things going on around us. Yeah, we may see such things, but we may not lend much credence to, how they can be incorporated into our lives, right? So this is a little bit of an exercise to help you maybe recognize the things that the universe is putting in your path. That's right. By recognizing a sign we can't help but notice. Something that's, agreed upon between us and the universe. That's right. Your daily numbers. Your 3 and your 4 for a 7. Now, you don't have to go with the numbers I rolled for you, but it's probably ideal you take your own set of dice if this is something you want to try to exercise. So you can ascribe directional values to number sets, as well as time limits with which to go in those directions. But once you've established all that, pick out a spot that's near and dear to your heart, or someplace maybe you haven't explored before. I always often like to say downtown, the town square. So head on out to some location like that, right? But like I said, once you get there, get those blinders off, all right? Start taking in everything around you, because you never know, the day might start to take on a little bit of a theme. Let's go with the visual representational image here, a palm tree, if you like. Maybe you start seeing palm trees all over the place in an area of the country where they may not be prevalent. But again, it could be just about anything. That's why you have to have your eyes open to taking things in. You might start to see them presenting in ways you wouldn't think. To say the palm tree, for instance, maybe you start seeing it incorporated into advertisements or on pieces of artwork that are out on the street. Maybe as a mural on the side of a building, or just the inflatable type outside of a party store, perhaps. I don't know. Just kind of take note of those such things. I would say it's an example of the universe showing you it's with you on your path. So in any event, let's say you roll your first directional value time limit and you set off, right? And maybe at the end of your time limit, you find yourself in front of, an alleyway. And you're like, I don't know, should I go down that? Well, take your dice into account. Roll a yes or a no for it. Even or odd. What's yes or no? I don't know. That's up to you. But let's say it's yes. Go down the alleyway. You go down the end of it. Hey, maybe it's a dead end. What's this? There's nothing down here. Well, maybe there just so happens to be a box that has, the number 34 or 7 written on the side of it. Maybe pop it open, see what you see. Maybe it just so happens to have a bunch of old nuts inside of it. All right? Hey, the nuts were part of the visual representational image, right? Or it could be anything. It could be that thing that pops up in the theme. Or maybe no theme is presented just yet. Maybe just take note of what's in that box. All right. Okay, there wasn't much to see down here other than that. there you go. Be on your way. Once you get to the outside of the alley, roll your dice again, get your directional value time limit going, get to the end of that. Maybe once again you haven't seen much of anything. That's all right. Just take pause. You're out there getting your steps in, so that's lucrative insofar as we need to get our exercise right. But then again, kind of take in what's going on around you. Maybe you just so happen to notice something small, like you're on, what's this, 34th Street? Hey, it could be, or 7th Avenue. Again, just take that as a sign the universe is with you on your path, or you're on the right path. So again, roll yourself the dice, see where it takes you. Maybe this time you end up in front of a building with, again, the numbers in the address there, 34. Maybe it just so happens to be a nursery. You stop inside there. I know you're not necessarily in the market for plants or whatever, but you go in, maybe nobody's in there. An individual behind the desk asks how they can help you, and just be open and transparent about what you're getting into. I'm just here on account of synchronicity. There's nothing really for me to do here, but this guy told me to stop in. When I start seeing my numbers present, they're probably not going to know anything about what you're talking about. Show them your dice, maybe show them this video, and you know what? You never know. It might just so happen that individual behind the desk, it might be their birthday too. All right? It's things like this that just start to stack up, these coincidences, if you like, these synchronicities. So get out there and start stacking them up. Maybe you also happen to find that, they have palmettos on special. That's right. Hey, you know what? It's up to you if you want to take one home. I know I would, because I don't see them very often, and I like that tree. All right, so anyway, I think you get the idea. Get out there, stack up some synchronicities, pile up some coincidences, if you like. See, taste, touch, smell a little bit of that magic that I mentioned there, and you just might understand why I brought it up. All right, that's synchronicity in a nutshell, if you like. Let's get on with the birthday read. Your month is February, your day is the 18th, your sign is 28 degrees Aquarius to 0 degrees Pisces of the Aquarius-Pisces cusp period specifically, and your quality and elements is fixed air. All right, February 18th, the day of the complete picture. The magnetic individuals born on February 18th enliven their surroundings with their ideas and their energy. Not ones to get bogged down in the details, they stand back in order to see the whole picture. The big view, if you like. And rarely will they make important decisions until they have heard the entire side of the story. And their life is not a haphazard series of events, nor are they overly fatalistic about accepting what comes along. Behind everything they do is an underlying philosophy of life, a basic set of principles for living which they do not betray. And because they are so convinced of these core values, it may be difficult or impossible for them to change greatly. However, because of their sincere desire to know the truth, they are usually open to listening to various points of view, if only to learn from them. And because of their far-reaching views and well-directed ambitions, February 18th people may overlook certain trivial or meaningless details, which in fact have great importance, if not to themselves, then to others. And indeed, some born on this day can get a little out of touch with the facts of everyday existence. They may grow impatient with housework, maintenance of property, or the handling of their financial affairs. And through taking what others may feel is an aloof or superior attitude, they can arouse jealousy or enmity. E-N-M-I-T-Y. Enmity, I guess. All right. Although it is true that February 18th people are often self-assured, highly autonomous individuals who may need a great deal of time to themselves, they rarely cut themselves off from their fellow human beings or resist calls for help. They are empathetic and sympathetic, but only up to a point, however, for they are not willing to sacrifice their time or their ideals to unnecessary demands or claiming attitudes. And most February 18 people have problems with emotional hypersensitivity in childhood, and in extreme cases may be pushed in one of two directions, either withholding from the cares and sufferings of the world and perfecting their personal vision of how utopia should be, or building a tough steel-like exterior and taking on the world. In either case, they nonetheless move in the direction of maximizing both the scope and influence of their ideas. And if February 18 people can remain fixed on long-term goals, but at the same time attend to the daily business of the physical world, they will be successful. And if they get sidetracked, however, because of an inability to control their emotions and sensitivities, they will probably flounder and be unhappy. Having the willpower and the toughness to see plans through while at the same time, preserving their sensitivity is the key to self-realization for them. All right, how about that for a birthday reading? I would say it was pretty interesting insofar as they really drilled down on a specific paradigm and kind of fleshed it out and all its different expansive ideas. They didn't really necessarily get into what I like to refer to as a more rounded out kind of birthday reading, to say like what you might be like as parents or friends, family members, and how that's kind of realized. But I thought they imparted quite a bit of value regardless. That having been said, I like to provide a little bit of a commentary on the things we just read, maybe kind of make connections with days previous or the period writ large, and I don't know, just things I found of note or otherwise interesting. So let's dive into it, shall we? The February 18th day, or birthday rather, the day of the complete picture. You're said to be magnetic individuals who enrich their environment with their ideas and the energy that they bring. And you're said to be more of a big picture oriented individual rather than get bogged down in the finer details. Now, you're also said to have a life philosophy geared around not seeing life as a series of instances determined by fate, or fatalism as they said, but you listen to multiple points of view and you hear all sides of the story. And you have a sincere desire to know the truth, and you adhere to your core values with strict adherence. But in this approach to life, the reading claims you may then overlook and not lend much credence to the smaller details that have significant importance. For an otherwise aloof, superior air when it comes to matters like, say, housework and financial matters, like they mentioned. But despite an otherwise disconnected attitude towards such things, you're said to be empathetic and sympathetic toward and involved in the lives of others, going so far as to assist others in their time of need, which is a little bit of an Aquarius through line. A lot of empathetic and sympathetic individuals. But being an independent, self-reliant person yourself, this assistance only goes so far, all right? There's a point at which certain things that you think others need to tend to themselves. And admittedly, I would say I think it's admirable. Because if you start giving people too much assistance, they're going to start to take advantage of that, all right? So this is interesting insofar as this wasn't a quality that's mentioned on the Aquarius period writ large. It's pretty much specific to you. I don't know that that means it doesn't apply to other folks. It just wasn't mentioned for them, however. So you stand out in that regard. Because you know what? If you don't have time for the trivial matters in your own life, why should you have time for it in others, I would say. Why be bothered by somebody else's trivial matters? Naturally. Having said that, the reading segues into examining a hypersensitivity dynamic that may exist and that could have affected you in your childhood, which, along with this empathetic nature they mentioned, are trademark qualities that present in this period also. A lot of childhood dynamics carrying forward and influencing the person's life. It seems kind of, common sense, but this isn't something that always comes up in the other periods. Once in a while, but here with Aquarius, pretty common. To that end here, there's either two paths the reading claims you may then be apt to pursue, having these influences with you here. To say withdrawing so as to pursue realizing your own vision of utopia, or building a tough exterior. And these are also telltale earmark pursuits related in this period. Specifically February 7th, the day of utopia, and yesterday, as it turns out, February 17th, the day of the battler, someone who puts up their armor. It's quite thoroughly a theme of the day, even though the day is titled the Day of the Battler. Having said that, your approach and your personality is altogether different, regardless such similar realizations, especially considering your dogged pursuit of maximizing the scope of your influence and your ideas. So while today doesn't come off as the most exciting of birthday readings that I've read, that doesn't mean that it isn't intriguing in its own kind of captivating way, I would say. I'm consistently surprised at just how many different ways the same qualities and motivations can be realized and then manifested. To this end, I also see a lot of myself in this particular birthday breakdown, despite myself being a bit more captivated by the finer details, which is a stark dichotomy to yours there. So I'm probably more myopic to the larger picture myself, more than I would care to admit, though I try to take in as much of that as I can. With that having been said, like I said, wasn't the most exciting birthday breakdown, but I thought they imparted a lot of value. They captured a definite picture of an individual. So hopefully that applies to you. Who's to say? But if it does or doesn't, hey, maybe we can narrow down that focus to a smaller picture, if you like, as we move on to your numbers and your planets. Maybe explain some of these dynamics that they've related here. All right, here we go. Those born on the 18th of the month are ruled by the number 9, as 1 plus 8 equals 9. And by the planet Mars, the number 9 is powerful in its influence on other numbers, as any number added to 9 yields that number. E.g., 5 plus 9 equals 14, and 1 plus 4 equals 5. And any number multiplied by 9 yields a 9. All right, so 9 times 5 is 45, 4 plus 5 is 9. And February 18 people are similarly able to exert a strong influence on those around them. The effect of Uranus, which is Aquarius's ruler, on Mars can indicate instability and impulsiveness in those born on this day. All right, yeah, a rather sparse numbers and planets entry. They kind of went so far as to add in that math dynamic. Pretty common on these number 9 days, but they didn't really say a lot outside of that, disappointingly. This has been a little bit of a through line with the Aquarius period, where they don't relay a lot of the qualities that are going on with the planetary influences. Disappointingly, like I said. So let's see if I can pick up a little bit of the slack in that regard and kind of tell you a little bit more about this stuff going on. In this Aquarius cusp period, there's a lot of dynamics going on. This Aquarius Pisces cusp. So it's surprising they didn't add a little bit more. In any event, I'm rambling on. Let's get into it. The number 9 in the planet Mars for influence over others, the old math energy there, and the aggressive god of warlike energies that are imparted by Mars. Though perhaps maybe not so much so because of these other influences. So maybe that's why they didn't bring that up. That said, elsewhere in the book it's mentioned adventure and high motivation to succeed are hallmarks for Mars days there. But the Aquarius period has been funny that way with the entries, all right? Keeping things kind of off the page, if you like. Seeming absence of these qualities may in fact be explained in no small part due to Uranus and Neptune's cusp co-rulership coming into the mix. Uranus with its explosive and erratic qualities and outside of the box type thinking, rebelliousness too, if you like, it tends to shake up the dynamics of any given planet that it's coupled to with a co-rulership. And with Neptune's power over dreams and visions lending to a focus on higher ideal concerns, also kind of like head in the clouds, not clowns, head in the clouds type mentality. It may make a certain kind of sense that you'd energize your environments more so than be aggressive with it the way Mars is. These planets might kind of bring that aggressiveness down a little bit. And so it may apt to lend you to be more concerned with the broader picture. Who's to say? You might also be more apt to empathize or sympathize, like they said, with the plight of others, only to let said concerns only go so far. That Mars energy kind of pulling it back there, if you like. So there's also impulsive and unstable natures. So that certainly speaks to the influence of the Neptune and Uranus coming into the mix and fighting with Mars. But I didn't really pick up on those particular aspects in the breakdown itself. So a little bit of an anomaly there. that wasn't included in the breakdown. And sometimes that comes up. They can't they can't shoehorn everything into it. I was going to say pigeonhole, but they can't shoehorn every dynamic into it. But that having been said, hopefully I imparted a little bit more value, a little bit more astrology into it, if you like. Even though I'm not an expert on as much, I'm just taking what I can from the book and trying to relate it when I think there's a little bit of a deficit there. So in any event, hope you took some value from it. Now let's move on to your tarot. That's right, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies. But hey, it's here in the book. It's your birthday. A lot of times you can also make more connections, which is interesting, but sometimes not. You never know. So let's dive into it here. The 18th card of the major arcana is the Moon, which primarily represents the world of dreams, emotions, and the unconscious. Positive attributes include sensitivity, empathy, and emotional understanding. Negative qualities include emotional malleability and a lack of ego. All right. Rather sparse entry. Pretty part and parcel for the Moon card. A few of the others as well. So I have to do a lot of heavy lifting on this one. Let's get into it here. The tarot. So you got your Moon card, all right? A once-a-month card, which always says precious little, all right? But speaking to the world of dreams, sensitivities, and emotional understanding in positive terms certainly seems to line up with your core values in my mind, all right? So at least based on the breakdown there. A lack of ego, however, doesn't necessarily seem to be the case, because I get the idea that you're very firm and resolved in yourself. You've got a well-established ego. You know who you are, it would sound like. That said, I would say it's something to be mindful of, this lack of ego, because to say if you lose your willpower and your self-determination, it seems like a very core aspect of you, fundamental to realizing the bigger picture, if you like, the theme of your day. I say that would certainly speak to affecting you on a fundamental level if you were to lose that important aspect of yourself. As to emotional malleability there, same argument, I would say. It seems to be an integral linchpin with regard to realizing your station, I would say. So a very apt card, I would argue, even though precious little was really said there. And sometimes these are really tough to try to relate some kind of correlation with the breakdown when so little is said. But here I think a lot of it seemed to line up just right on its face. So they took some of the hard work out of it for me, which I appreciate. That said, that's been your tarot, so let's move on to your health. All right. Those born on February 18 are prone to neglect everyday concerns because their thoughts are busy elsewhere. Consequently, having regular dental and medical checkups scheduled is crucial to their health. In fact, bringing structure to all areas of their lives, from diet to exercise, is key. The food habits of those born on this day may tend to be rather odd and irregular. Learning to cook or even develop advanced culinary skills is recommended. Cooking for family and friends can also be helpful in bringing out their nurturing side. And as far as exercise is concerned, moderate daily workouts are preferable, and perhaps in the form of long walks, bicycling, or swimming. All right. Very interesting breakdown here today. Again, a lot of this shakeup from Uranus and Neptune ostensibly kind of affecting it. So this isn't a typical Mars health entry by any stretch of the imagination. So let's dive into it. Probably burn down everything I had to say there. It says you're prone to neglect everyday concerns on account of your thoughts on ostensibly larger, more complete picture issues, right? Regular dentists and physical checkups are crucial, they said, in that respect. That said, this is a somewhat common Aquarius issue. What's more irregular is the Aquarius folks who do have their mind on health. What's kind of irregular about all of it is just in how it's realized. There's the constant through line has been how it's so inconsistent with how health effects are realized day to day. The common through line on other periods is the same thing kind of tends to pop up. But here in Aquarius, it's like they're mindful of this particular thing, but they're at a deficit over here, mindful of this, not mindful of that. It's just always changing and vacillating. So that seems to be the through line here. No consistency. That said, keep a mind on health. Let's see here. And structure is said to be a key to helping you realize your health there. And that extends to diet and exercise as well. Learning to cook as a dietary recommendation. That's a largely Capricorn type thing. I think it popped up one other time, maybe twice here in Aquarius. But on the one day it popped up, I remember it was because they're very curious individuals. And so that helped endorse that particular aspect of it. The other aspect I was kind of trying to think on, like, why is that a dietary recommendation? And I kind of like thinking to myself, well, maybe it's because you include fresh ingredients. And so it's more healthy in that regard. And then, you know what, a couple days ago, that actually popped up, probably on that same day with the curiosity aspect, because they incorporate fresher ingredients. That having been said, the body areas of the Aquarius individual are the circulatory system and the lower legs, specifically the ankles. And so for Capricorn, a lot of times they would mention cutting out dairy fats and animal fats I think, to try to get cholesterol out of their veins. Well, the circulatory system, there you go. It's the same, almost the same thing as the veins, right? Except there's more of a heart facet or aspect to it. Because one particular day that stood out in Aquarius, they did mention cutting out red meat. On a few other days, they mentioned cutting out stimulants like tobacco and caffeine and otherwise things that would affect the heart. So something to be mindful there. There's also the running theme that comes up once in a while of avoiding stroke and embolism and varicosities. So I've been taking to recommend that people get themselves a pair of compression socks. All right, so head off the two at the pass if you like. They did, however, mention just moderate exercise, and this is a little bit of a deviation for a Mars day. Mars days typically have that aggressive nature baked into it, that god of war, and they usually get aggressive recommendations for exercise or vigorous exercise. And here it's been following a through line. Every Mars day has been getting moderate to light. So there's a shakeup for sure going on, because typically Mars days, they might even get combative sports sometimes to ostensibly excise that aggressive energy. But not here for you. So it might be largely absent. But that having been said, that's about all I had to say about this particular period. Just a lot of anomalies popping up. But very interesting altogether, even if they didn't really say everything I had to convey here for you. So hopefully it took some value. Whether it applies or not, I don't know. That's for you to figure out. So, but that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice. Here we go. Follow your dreams, but tend to everyday matters as well. And don't forget your friends or cut yourself off from the world. Loneliness and negativity can be combated, often by being more open and accepting. All right. Nuts and bolts type stuff, I would say, but you know what? A lot of value also. All right, what did I have to say about what they had to say? They said, follow your dreams, but tend to everyday matters also. All right, speaks to the breakdown, I would say. It says, tend to your stable is what I wrote. Also, chop wood, carry water. All right, it may seem like trivial matters, but not only do they need to get done, it's also humbling, I would say, in a way. It's also a break from the other things. All right, it gives one time to pontificate on things, and we're in the bathroom. That's right, you got to pontificate on the larger issues, right? The other things. It also gives you time to just zone out. All right, take some time and just let things go for a little bit. Chop wood, carry water. Now, the trivial things, they are significant too. I think that's the point. Don't forget, friends are cut off from the world. All right. Such dynamics are kind of weird by my mind. Are you the one? Are you the person who reaches out, or are you the one who's reached out to? Here's the thing: at a certain point, the people who reach out, they get kind of tired of it. So you need to reciprocate. And if you're the one who reaches out, oftentimes, I'm sure you know all about it. All right, so combat loneliness and negativity by being more open and accepting. I also say appreciating it for what it is helps a lot too. Appreciating loneliness for what it is. What can you learn about yourself in these moments? All right, a lot of times people end up tending to prefer to be alone because they can tolerate it at this point. But a lot of folks who aren't often alone, if they are alone, they're uncomfortable. They don't know what to do with themselves because they just have never really been in that position. So I think there's a strength there. but also the reverse can be said also. There's a strength of being able to be around people, and there's also a baked-in discomfort with it if you're used to being alone. So yeah, maybe try to find that balance. And the balance and moderation is a through-line theme throughout the entire book. So stuff to be mindful of. What else do we have here? Aquarius often gets this recommendation to be transparent and open up their armor. Or the armor was for yesterday, and I would say for today too, because it came up. So it allows you to appear more human, more accessible, more open. And this was a largely Capricorn thing too. They had the walls up because they were always chasing after their career or their cause. And so a lot of times they would cut themselves off from the more human dynamic of themselves. So yeah, drop down those walls. Yeah, it's probably gonna benefit you in the long run. You don't want to appear to be a cool customer, if you like, which is one of the qualities they said you had, being aloof. So take care to be more open, more transparent. So in any event, that's been your advice. Let's move on to your meditation. That's right, it's your birthday, you get a meditation. Something to pontificate on, if you like. All right, here we go. The tiny details are the most difficult to master. Oh, I like it. I like it. It's hard to chop wood and carry water. It isn't, but you know what I mean. All right, once again, the tiny details are the most difficult to master. All right. It's your birthday, your meditation. I'm not going to throw my, my spin or my interpretation on it. It would just affect how you interpret it one way or the other. And you know what? It's your birthday. It's your meditation. I don't want to influence it for you. Outside of the things I mentioned, how they might already have done as much. But that said, your meditation in the can. Let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up the objective mirror and see where you got the girth, ostensibly, and where you otherwise maybe a little more atrophied or deflated within the metaphor there. That's right. Your strengths, you're magnetic, you're sensitive, and you're philosophical. All right, philosophical. But your weaknesses, let's hold that objective mirror back up, but flip it to the side that blows up your face there. Maybe shows off the things you're otherwise a little more superficially insecure about within the metaphor. That's right, your weaknesses. All right. You're aloof. Hey, we knew this one. The cool customer. You're isolated, and you're impatient. Interesting. I don't know that I got the impatient part outside of maybe you don't want to deal with the trivial matters. You know what? There you go. Help you build up the patience. Oftentimes I like to say our weaknesses can also be strengths. Just depends on the situation, all right? A couple months back, there was a day where impulsive popped up as a strength, but the very next day, boom, it was a weakness. So I'm thinking to myself, what's the disconnect there? You know what? It just depends on the individual. That having been said, I like to argue that, our strengths are going to help us combat our weaknesses if it's something we want to improve upon. You're magnetic, sensitive, philosophical. Well, you know what? Philosophical by itself, you're going to think about how to improve on these things. Sensitive too, you're kind of, you've got the feelings for what needs to be done in order to make those things suss themselves out. And magnetic, hey, you might draw in the help you need in order to get over those things. You get over that loneliness aspect or open yourself up to the world. That's kind of required for that one. But you know what? That's a little bit of that weakness coming up there. Hey, maybe magnetic there is going to definitely help with being aloof, being isolated, being impatient. I don't know, though, like the weakness is being a strength. That could be a little harder sell here. Aloof, sometimes maybe we need to be cool customers to those people that, need to go away. All right, and that might be the perfect strength to get those folks to go away, because not everybody is someone you want in your orbit, right? Isolated, you know what? I think I get what they're saying here. You need to open up because you're an individual who closes, has the armor up, has the walls up. So it's good if you can get over that a little bit. But like I said, there's a strength in being able to be alone and being able to be isolated. You're going to get things done, I would argue, more so than someone who's busy with all these other things. All right. Also, impatient, hard one to say is a strength. But you know what? Sometimes some people are just they take too much time with things. If you're impatient to get after it, boom, you're going to get right into the job. I would say that's kind of, it speaks to procrastination too. Hey, you know what? I don't have time for this dilly-dallying. let's get after the job. So I would say in that respect, if there's a connection to be had there, it seems a little bit fickle, but I would say that's a strength in those regards. But that having been said, if these are things that you do need to improve upon, I think your strengths are going to help you get over them, all right? But also, the same argument, I would say don't get rid of your weaknesses altogether because they're part of who you are, all right? So your strengths and weaknesses having been relayed, let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, something I like to do is not only see who shares your company, but use as an opportunity to examine something I find important, and that is figuring out our passions. You know, a lot of times we get out in the world and meet folks, asking what they do, and more importantly, if they like it, and they don't. And I think it's just the fact that they never had the opportunity or the desire to put in the time to figure such things out. And I think it's important because, you know, and there's just a certain amount of fulfillment one gets from chasing down something that they have a passion for. Jumping out of bed doing backflips, either literal or figurative, to get on with your day, I would say that's huge. But if you're working at a job that at the fundamental core of it has nothing to do with anything you even like to do, what are we doing outside of just, you know, filling up our coffers? All right, I would say if we can find something to do that does both, fulfills us personally, and you know, fills the bank account, oh, you know, life is that much more fulfilling. So I think this is a great opportunity to, like I said, try to take some inspiration from what others did to get in the book and maybe rekindle our fires to chase after our passions, if that's a fire that happened to go out, or to pour some gas on that wood that we happened to chop there earlier. So to get that fire going if we haven't done so before. So let's dive into it with that focus. All right, and these names are going to get me, so stand by here. We have Andreas Segovia, the Spanish guitarist and the music transcriber, also an editor, and created the guitar as a concert instrument in the 20th century. We also have Toni Morrison, Toni Morrison, a Pulitzer Prize, it says Pulitzer Prize, first Nobel Prize winning African-American woman novelist for Beloved. We also have Charles M. Schwab, the first president of U.S. Steel, an investment firm founder. It says, began driving stakes for $1 a day. All right, modest, humble beginnings, all the way to the top, though. Saw the complete picture, if you like. We also have Semyon Timoshenko, a USSR commanding general, World War II, defeated German armed forces. Complete picture again. There we go. We also have Yoko Ono, a Japanese-born conceptual artist, singer-songwriter, and married John Lennon. We also have John Travolta, the TV film actor, Sybil Shepherd, film TV actress, Milos Forman, Czech-American film director of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, also Amadeus. We also have Helen Gurley Brown, editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan, also a writer of Sex and the Single Girl. We also have Matt Dillon, the film actor, Jean Anouilh, or Ayoul, perhaps, A-U-E-L. I see a novelist of Clan of the Cave Bear. We also have Dong Kejun, a Chinese woodcut artist, Alexander Volta, an Italian physicist, and it says electrical unit namesake. So that'd be the volt, I would imagine. All right, and we also have Jack Palance, a film actor, was Curly in City Slickers, from what I recall. Adolphe Menjou, a film actor of over 200 films, and it's Menjou, however that's pronounced. We also have George Kennedy, the film actor from, Cool Hand Luke fame. And we also have Ramakrishna, an Indian 19th century mystic, writer, and founder of the Vedanta Society. We also have Vanna White, the TV co-host of Wheel of Fortune. We also have Wendell Willkie, the Republican presidential candidate and lawyer, and famous for One World, ostensibly a book, I would imagine. And we take us out with Jean Drapeau, Montreal mayor for 32 years. Now, I think I did pretty good with the pronunciation, all things considered. I have to imagine, but I probably also butchered them, to be honest. So let's make up for that on my side of things. It's not done in malice. It's just hooked on phonics isn't always the best tool for pronouncing names, especially those of a foreign nature. That having been said, I know it's a big ask, tall order to try to take inspiration from other people's accomplishments, but I think the argument still stands. Hey, you know what? If we can do anything, that it's fulfilling to go after a passion, all right? And if there's anything I can wish for you on your birthday, it's that you're doing just that. So if we can use this as a tool to get you to start thinking about it, hey, perfect, all right? I want to put the bug in folks' ear to be trying to find something fulfilling in life. At least start asking the hard questions, all right? That having been said, that essentially rounds out your birthday reading, except to say your season is winter, your sign once again is Aquarius of the Aquarius Pisces cusp, and your quality and elements is fixed air. What does that mean? That's a different set of videos altogether. I'll leave those at the end there for you if you're interested. But this has been February 18th, the day of the complete picture, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you're interested in picking up a copy. I'll tell you what, this thing makes an amazing coffee table book, especially if you have folks over for company. I know it said you're an isolationist, but hey, maybe you need to open yourself up like they said in the advice. This is going to help you do the heavy lifting in that respect, all right? Start reading folks' birthdays is going to get the conversation started, for better or for worse, because they may agree or disagree. Who's to say? That having been said, I have the affiliate link for this up above a little personal message I leave for the birthday boys and girls, ladies and gents, if you're interested in that as well. But book having been related, what's actually important around here, like I said at the top, wishing you a happy birthday. So once again, happy birthday, all right? And for everybody else who joined us randomly, we're always here to celebrate the birthday. I just want to say I hope you enjoyed yourselves, took something of value even though it wasn't your birthday, and that you join us for your birthday reading. So I just want to take a moment to thank you for the pleasure of your time. It was a privilege to celebrate your birthday with you. I really enjoy doing these things, and so I hope you took something of value from it, like I've said many times before. Once again, happy birthday. Oh yeah, and lest I forget, your daily numbers, all right? I know it's a big ass to get out there and be rolling the dice in public looking for things that the universe ostensibly puts in your path, but you know what? Like I said, if you can see, taste, touch, smell, intuit just a little bit of the magic, you understand why I brought it up in the first place, all right? So once again, your daily numbers, get out there, let the universe show you it's with you on your path, and you know what? Just get them steps in, get your exercise in at the very least, and open yourself up to the larger things and the smaller things. That's right. So once again, happy birthday. Get yourself a set of compression socks and take care of yourselves. All right. Happy birthday.